from talk to text.
That's like me and AirPods. Forget cords.
Forget cords.
Really? I put my sweatshirt on backwards.
Well, you can't
Although
tell.
it's like the same exact
funky
thing. It's like it's funky.
Like cool. Like
This is one of my favorite shirts ever.
Like retro.
Don't say it's funky.
It's a cool
You
sweater.
hate me. He hates me, everybody. Look at my sweater. It's the best. What?
It's a
Low internet connection?
It's a poofy sweater.
It's the best. Target clearance.
All right. Good morning, Rach. Rach, can I call you Rach? Low network connection. Okay.
Why? I guess whatever.
It's a cute sweater.
Thanks. Look at that dog. Is it okay?
I don't know. He's walking slow. It's not a morning dog.
He looks constipated or something. It's kind of funny.
All right.
Oh.
Let's see. Is the Facebook Live working?
It's
Rochelle. Ooh, sorry, Rochelle.
Good morning. Oh, come
Rochelle.
on. From Milan to Minsk. Rochelle.
Good morning, Josh. Okay. Day 32.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Check. What's happening?
Oh, right.
All right, here we go. You got that?
Got it.
Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley, and today I'm a licensed marriage.
Start over?
Today, only today, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. No, I am a LMFT, and today is day 32, titled "I'm a Sensitive Husband. I Hate My Body, and Is This Really My Marriage?"
If you're new here, welcome. We have over 200 episodes covering all sorts of marriage topics, so check those out. And as always, today's show is brought to you by Audible. You can go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get your free audiobook on us. We love audiobooks. Go do it. They're the best.
That's right. And although I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, do not substitute this podcast for actual therapy. Go see a professional.
Mm-hmm. And we're so glad that you're here. But before we jump into our questions, we are going to read our review of the day.
All right. You want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. 5 stars from Ari from Athens. Newlywed. I'm a newlywed, and I've been recommending this podcast to my parents, my in-laws, my uncles, ladies at the nail salon, even my friend who has owned her own counseling practice for 30 years and written books on marriage. Ugh, this is fabulous. That is really cool. Thank you. Like, who is your friend that has a counseling practice and has written books? Maybe we know her.
I know. That'd be cool to know who it is.
Yeah, drop a name in the thing next time.
Thank you for that review. And if you like what you're doing or what we're doing, you can rate and review the podcast and we'll read your review on the show as well. Okay, so jump into the questions. Do you want to read the first one?
Yes, I read that word right there, which is like, wait a minute, where's...
Oh.
Okay. That's some notes from something else. Okay, my wife and I could say that we've been on rocky ground for a while. There seems to be great days and some where I say to myself, is this really my marriage? We have some big fights and some small ones like any marriage. However, I think the biggest struggle is the fact that it's okay for my wife to do something but not me. For example, she can go spend money on whatever she wants, but I get chewed out for spending money on lunch. There's always a double standard in our house. When I point it out, she tells me it's not true and asks me for an example. And when I do, she tells me I'm wrong, or if I can't give an example at that moment, I'm wrong and my statement means nothing. I'm a pretty sensitive guy, and that also causes fights. I don't know how to tell my wife something without the fear of her telling me I'm wrong or saying I'm being overly sensitive. What do I do? Do I need to change or just learn how to not bring up things? I would say both.
Oh.
What would you say?
Is that really all you're going to say right now?
Well, you usually say something else, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry, that's just kind of caught me off guard. It's funny because this question to me is like exactly what we conversated, exactly what we talked about last night.
Right.
And so I think that's really interesting because last night I was frustrated at our children's behavior, and then the more I thought about it and the more we talked about it, I realized it's because we don't. What was the language that I used? It was because we don't have an actual like set point of our expectations for things in general. So in this question it says like my wife can go do things but I can't. So what I am inferring in that statement is the expectation has not been set for both parties of what is acceptable, right? So if you're just like, well, I want to do what I want, and I might think that what you want to do is not practical or financially okay, while of course I'm going to think what I want to do is practical and financially okay.
Right.
So there's sort of two factors there, where one is you need to actually set that expectation very explicitly and clearly ahead of time, and then secondly, you have to adjust your wife, I guess, has to adjust her interpretation of what you're doing. Because I did that all the time with Seth. Like, I would be like, I can go to Starbucks, but you can't.
Right, and I would do that too, and I would spend money that wasn't budgeted. So let's talk about it in a budget. So obviously there's a financial budget, and then I just made this up just now, an emotional budget. So with a financial budget, you agree, you sit down, you write out all your money, you tell your money where it's going to go, sort of like how Dave Ramsey talks about. And you say, okay, I am going to go to coffee. Here's my budget for the week. I have $30. I can spend all that $30 at once and then I'm done, or spend it out over time and get small coffees, right? And then your partner, if they agree on it, then you can't say anything about it. Okay, I agreed upon it. You stuck to it. That's fine, right? So that's one way that a budget works. And then you can have an emotional budget too. Like, let's think of an example where an emotional budget would really be helpful, I guess. Like, okay, say that you and your partner like would argue about like one person comes home and the other person's stressed, and then we could kind of get in an argument, right? So the emotional budget would be, okay, I've noticed this pattern that sometimes when I come home or you come home, one of us are stressed. We say something, and then the other person kind of bites back, and then we kind of go back and forth, and we get in an argument. From now on, if you're stressed, if you're triggered, you're going to look at me and say, sweetie, whatever, I'm kind of stressed right now. I need you to be strong and deal with it. I'm not going to be a jerk or whatever, but I may just be kind of distant because I have other things on my mind, okay? So that is the thing that's probably going to happen for the next 2 hours, right? So then, after I'm not stressed, things are cool, then we'll come back, okay? But we're not going to argue, we're not going to fight. This is just kind of like, I had a crappy day at work, and this is where I am, so... You know, don't like immediately kind of bombard me with a million chores when I get home, kind of thing, right? So that's the emotional budget, that you're setting up a groundwork, you're setting up a framework for when stuff does happen. You're like, okay, we agreed upon it, and we're going to move forward, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it's confusing to me that you would say that, though, because I often do say that to you, and you get upset.
I'm not saying that I do it. I'm saying it's a good idea.
Because it actually goes to the bottom. He says, I'm a pretty sensitive guy, and this causes fights. Because that's, I think, in the past, what I felt was happening was that I would try to say, look, I am in the red emotionally right now. I'm not going to be able to be present in the way that you want, so leave me alone for a minute. And it would and I wouldn't be mean to you. I wouldn't say mean things or be ugly. I would just be very clear, like, this is a boundary I have to draw right now.
But we never talked about it early
beforehand.
On.
You're right. We didn't set
the
we never set the expectation.
Right.
So I think there is so much to be said, because literally last night that's all we talked about was like understanding that so much of our problems was not even an expectation that we knew was there, but like, if I think I'm going to treat myself at Starbucks and I think Seth's going to treat himself at Starbucks, those two treats are going to be different, meaning they're going to cost something. They're not going to cost the same. They're not going to be the same thing. And I'm, of course, going to judge what Seth does based on what I would do, as if what I would do is correct.
Okay, so let's create a perfect example. Everybody who listens to this show for more than 1 second knows I love the bakery, right?
Scones.
And I've spent a lot of money on scones, right? Some more than others. However, if we had a budget, like, okay, Seth, you literally are getting $30 a week for coffee and snacks out. Sometimes I eat lunch out because I'm on the road, but it's better if I take my lunch. And so, okay, here's $30, boom, this is what it's for, right? Then you can't say jack about it.
Yeah, you could buy one $30 scone.
A golden scone.
A golden scone.
Oh, gosh.
I just imagined a giant scone
straight from
cake.
Paris. They fly it in that morning.
Yeah, and I think that that's really something that would be beneficial here, because it says, like, my wife can do something, but I can't. But that also it talks about that your wife is telling you that your examples are bad or wrong. And I think, I mean, literally, we talked about that exact same thing in our relationship last night in relationship to parenting. And Seth said the same exact thing. When you say, when Seth gives an example, I will say, that's not right, right? And you know why I say that? Because his bar is here and my bar is here, and they're not meeting anywhere. My expectations are here, or his are here, and we're not on the same plane. I can't use two hands to demonstrate this. But I cleared my throat first.
I knew you were going to say that.
But so like you have to figure out what the expectation of so many different variables is. Like, what does it mean when you quote go out and do something for you? So make a list. I like to go bowling by myself, or hiking, or eat scones, or do art, or listen to music and jog. I don't know, whatever is the thing that brings you joy. Write it down. The cool thing is this is in our app that we're making. There are lists for these exact kind of things.
Well, I think this is a really good idea, a financial budget and emotional budget, because with the financial budget, you're planning for things that haven't happened yet, right? And then you know what you're going to do.
You're saving.
And like you said a couple days ago, you perform at the level of your training, so you perform at the level of your planning also. And if you don't plan,
or you're in deficit.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So an emotional budget and dang it, you know what? I get convicted every single time because I'm like, yeah, great advice, super smart, makes sense. And we don't do it. Show's over, folks. All right, let's see. How do you bring this up with your wife when she is unaware of it? You do it in a very nice way.
You buy her a scone.
No, you sandwich it. We've talked about the sandwich before. Like, hey, honey, you're so awesome at this, and this. Thank you for doing this. This is great. You know what? I have a little bit of feedback because this is a pattern that I'm seeing, and I want it to be different because I'm striving to be different, and I want to try to help you to be different as well. Here's the constructive criticism, and then the sandwich. I know you're going to be awesome on it because you're a hard worker, you're lovely, blah, blah, blah.
It has to be an invitation to change. And I think often there's two things. I thought of two great things just now. I'm reading the book, what is it called? By Simon Sinek. Something Why?
Start with Why.
Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
I read it first.
And he talks about when companies sell us their why, we are more likely to buy it because it touches something like visceral in us instead of the features of their product. But if they sell me a why, I'm interested in it, right? Because of the nature of how our brains work. So if you start with why you want your wife to join you in this adventure of having an emotional budget or being nicer or whatever it is, instead of starting with how, talk nicer to me. Why don't you say nice things? Blah, 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 right? Like it's going to be more inviting to start with the why element of it. And then the other thing I read lately, I can't remember if it was in that book or whatever, but it was this quote that said, don't tell people how to be, tell them who they are. And why I think that is...
Who they are.
Yes, and why I think that's important to think about and to process is, I know that within Seth, he is loving and kind and helpful and sweet and fun. Sometimes it is not expressed. A lot of times it's not expressed, especially in conflict, because of that idea of the sort of emotional intelligence being stifled at 10 or whatever. And so instead of coming up to you and being like, I need you to be nice, I need you to blah, 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 like I could say, I know that you're so kind and I'm excited about how we can do this thing together. And you could address the I'm a sensitive husband part of that. If you have a sensitive husband, you can say, I know that this conflict makes you feel weird and I'm really sorry. Like, I'm going to tell Seth who he is. Like, I know that. And I want to invite a strength and a courage or whatever.
You know what I just thought of?
Tell me what you thought of.
Saying like, and I'm not saying anything against this question because I think it too, but I think that we are both incorrect in our thinking. Well, I'm just a sensitive guy, or I'm just a sensitive husband. That's like saying she's a good basketball player for a girl. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, why can't men just be sensitive? It's not like a thing. Oh, I'm just kind of sensitive. You know?
I don't know that he's saying.
No, not even him. I'm just saying, like, because we were talking about male emotional intelligence yesterday. It's like, oh, I'm just a sensitive husband. Well, no, I'm just a person with feelings and I have senses. You know what I'm saying? Because this is saying I'm a sensitive husband. I should be here by everyone's standards,
I see
but
what
I'm
you're saying.
sensitive. You know what I'm saying? That's like saying, oh, whoa, she's a good driver for a girl.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? It makes it less than. And like, no. Females have brains and hands and feet. They can press the pedals and drive, you know.
Some of them can. I'm just kidding.
Except for you drive so slow.
I love to drive slow.
Anyway,
I do love
thanks
to
for the
drive
question.
slow.
Let's continue the conversation. Oh.
That's a good point that you bring up, though.
Who, me?
You.
I know, I'm a therapist.
All right.
Okay, so it finally happened. My husband actually asked me why I hardly ever want to have sex. He kind of asked me before, but never directly. Usually I could say I'm just not in the mood, and that's that. Not this time. He's been assuming I'm not attracted to him. He even asked me if that's it today. Honestly, it's the total opposite. I hate my own body. I'm fat. I weigh the most I've ever weighed in my life. I can't stand being naked. He asked me how I can help, and I've told him before. Go on a diet with me. Don't bring junk food home. Eat healthy with me. He says he will, but he never does. He is the most unhealthy person ever. He eats crap all the time. He has had this obsession with being fat, and I feel like he sabotages me because he wants me to be fat. I know I ultimately have control, but I feel like I have no self-control. I tried starting a smoothie cleanse today. Want to know how that ended? By eating a whole pizza by myself. I hate my body. How am I supposed to let him love it?
That's my part.
Okay. This is a lot.
It is a lot.
Of stuff to
There's
cover.
lots of different things in this question, not just why don't I ever have sex with my husband? I'm fat and I hate myself. Like that's not these. There's like 1,000 things here. What are your thoughts initially?
Okay, my thoughts are going to be based on a lot of the books that I've read and podcasts, and also a therapeutic piece. So, do you see yourself as at the weight that you want to be? Because you can't be it if you don't see it, right? And I'm really glad that you said, I know I have control and it's up to you, right? It is absolutely up to you.
No,
However,
it says I feel like I have no control.
no, hold on.
I know I ultimately have control, but I
Right.
feel like I have no control. Okay.
Right. So you know it, right? So that part is there. But some of the actions, maybe some of the habits, some of the patterns aren't supporting what's up here, right? So this is a time where we have it in our head, and I always talk about, get out of your head and into your heart. In this case, I'm going to flip that. You have it in your head, right? And that's where it starts. Your body will do mostly whatever you want it to do if you tweak a couple things, right? So if you see it, let's just say that your goal weight is 150. I have no idea, right? Do you see yourself at 150? Do you see yourself in the clothes you would wear at 150? Do you see how you would walk? Do you see how you could jog? Do you see what you would be eating on a daily basis? Do you see, oh, this is my routine. This is the diet that I've stuck to for 6 months, whether it's low carb or slow carb or whatever kind of diet. Do you see yourself as that? Because you do absolutely 100% have control. And Melanie has said, hey, I don't bring stuff home. Don't bring scones home, or on the weekend, don't bring chips home, or sweetie things.
You used to bring
or
ice
whatever.
cream home all the time.
I used to bring ice cream home all the time. Right. And yes, I was making it more difficult for her. However, it's her body. She does have ultimate control over what she eats or doesn't eat, right? Mm-hmm. So
But you stopped bringing ice cream home.
Well, yeah, because I decided not to do that for me anymore, right? Because the kids were eating it all the time, I was eating it all the time, and then you ate it too, right? So, okay, I want your thoughts on this.
The first thing that comes to mind is to read Mel Robbins' books, Take Control of Your Life and The 5-Second Rule. So in Take Control of Your, I think it's that one, in Take Control of Your Life, or it might be Kick A with Mel Robbins. She's got 3. They're all amazing. Read them all. But in one of them specifically, she talks to a woman who is overweight. Actually, there's like 2 that are overweight, I think. And they talk about the triggers and the habits of poor eating. And there is so much. Like, I just read The Power of Habit. Also, you should read that. It's by Charles Duhigg. And in those books, they talk about, like, we have triggers for eating. We have triggers for like behavioral things, and without understanding how our habits work, we will always sabotage ourselves, because our habits are it's almost like this whole hidden process in our body. Like it's completely void of our brain. Our body has created a habit that our brain is almost entirely unaware of, but our body will do it, and then we'll be like, dang, why'd I eat all those cookies? Because your body is forcing you to do something. And I mean, it sounds really weird, but it is.
I'm going to jump in. So also another book that I read, I think it was called, it was Benjamin Hardy. I don't remember the name of the book, but it was called An Idea of Forced Functioning. And here's the simplest idea to understand forced functioning. Okay, I have trouble waking up in the morning, right? My alarm goes off, my phone is right here, boom, click it, fall back asleep, right? Over and over and over, blah, blah, blah. So, forced functioning. Set the alarm, same time, same everything, same sound, put it over here across the room. So when it goes off, it forces me. I can't turn it off unless I get up out of bed and walk over here. And by the time I walk over here, I will be awake and go. I'm not going to lay back down, right? Forced functioning. So let me tell you another thing. And I have used this in my life. So there is, I've tried to not eat scones. I've tried to drink less beer and tried to work out a lot, right? Back and forth, back and forth. So I've had the most success when I've had forced functioning things in there. So, okay, oh man, when I drive home and during the summer, I drive by that one gas station and I used to stop and get a beer there. Okay, drive a different way.
Yeah.
That is a forced function, right? In fact, there's like a hilarious radio show out here in Seattle, and it's syndicated now. And it's just like dudes talking, just, talking S the whole time and having fun. And they drink all the time. And that show was kind of a trigger for just like kind of have fun, chill out, drink beer. That was a trigger for me too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So there are I think about this a lot because I love music so much. But certain songs are a trigger for me to have like a terrible mental space. There are songs,
Like what?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are songs like, honestly, any Tool song or like The Perfect Circle. I used to love them when I was younger, but they're all totally associated with a very different time of my life where I was behaving in a way that I don't find like life-giving now.
Right.
And the songs are still awesome, like really well done and produced wonderfully and have amazing whatever.
Killer, yeah.
But they put me in a mental space that I do not want to be in, so I choose not to listen to them. Not like I'm fighting the urge to listen to a Tool song, but do you see what I'm saying? Like there is then that's another thing. It's a whole set of habits. So are you watching a TV show that every time you watch it, you eat a pizza? Let's figure that out. Are you binge watching some sort of Netflix series or looking at Instagram, and whenever you look at Instagram you want to eat Cheez-Its? I mean, there are our brain is always trying to make these connections, so it's really important to identify them. But sort of switching gears really quickly, you talk about your husband hardly ever having sex, and you're saying you're not in the mood and that kind of thing. So I want to figure out how we can change that piece of it, because I don't care how much you weigh right now. I mean, I think it's important if you care how much you weigh, but you are still sexy and beautiful and wonderful. And honestly, and don't hear me this wrong, your husband might like you fat, okay? Some men love that. You can have an explicit conversation about this. Say, hey, my goal weight is X amount of pounds. What is your goal weight for me and why? Do you want me to be heavier? Do you like that? Like, does it turn you on? Like, whatever. But don't assume that your husband wants you skinny, but he has to have you fat because you're fat, right? Like, don't assume that that's what's going on. But also, because right now, if you're not the weight you want to be at, you have to figure out how to make that dissonance sustainable, how to be happy in that dissonance, even though it's not where you want to be. You've got to figure that piece out. Otherwise, you're going to be perpetually unhappy. Hold on, don't interrupt. So within that, I would say this: figure out a way to feel freaking amazing in the body you currently have right now. Do whatever it takes to feel amazing. And I'm not saying stay at the weight you're at if you don't feel happy in it, but find a way to be like, hey, right now, I got thighs for days. Want to see them? Like, make it something fun. Make it like, it doesn't have to be this drudgery, terrible, this, that, and I did that. Like, figure out how to turn it into something for the time that will be good and generative and life-giving, and have these conversations with your husband. That might turn you on. Sounds weird, but it might. Yeah,
it might. So let me ask you a question to kind of normalize this and put it into perspective. So in the times when you have felt like your body is ugly or whatever, what advice would you give yourself right now?
Turn off the lights.
It's not that simple,
It is that... Okay, answer the question yourself then. You asked moi. the
Okay, so
question.
is it that simple for you?
Yes.
Go back 4 years when you were postpartum. Was it that simple then?
It was close to being that simple, yes. But you didn't understand that I don't think you understood that when you would touch me, when you would touch me a certain way, or like want to see me naked, that to me felt uncomfortable. I didn't want that. That didn't mean that I hated my body. It was just like, hey, can we turn the lights off? Right? Like that kind of vibe. Or and that was, in a way, turning the lights off, figuring out mechanisms where I felt better is actually what I did. I tried to figure out, how can I feel better in the body that I currently have, because I can't change it. So how do I feel better in that body presently? And I think we talked about this in our episodes with Dr. Tina, where I figured out when I would nurse or when I would think about what my what my body could do, like I could have a baby.
Oh, you felt strong.
Yeah, I felt sexy. Like when I was like, I can freaking sustain life. Beat that, right? Like it made me feel amazing, and it made me feel connected to my body, even though my body didn't look how I wanted it to look. There was something far beyond the aesthetics. There was a power. There was a strength. There was a deep, amazing goddessness that no amount of weight or thighs mattered.
Do you want to know a similar feeling?
I want to.
And maybe guys can relate to this, but when you first got pregnant, I was like, yes. Not like, oh, we're having a kid, this is going to be great. Yeah, that's, screw that crap. But, but like, I felt like, yes.
You did it.
I did it. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, it felt really cool. And I've never felt that way before, which is kind of cool. So I understand what you're saying.
So I just wanted to challenge this idea that if you don't like your body right now, it means I got to be unhappy until I'm 150 pounds.
So here's the thing. So I sometimes feel like I like to work out. I feel way better after I work out, but I feel like fat and bloated. I don't know why, but I just do. Well, not even that. I can eat a scone and 1 pound less the very next day. And so I don't know what that is, but I think it would be helpful to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it. I feel whatever. And then boom, you have to read the Mel Robbins book first, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or the 5-second rule, and then boom, you're out of that. And then you have to change that pattern, force function. So it says, Bohemian Brose, lost a ton of weight. Awesome. Thanks, Kenan, for being nice. Let's see. Thanks, Kenan. Brad, great job too. Changed a ton of stuff. I quit watching TV too for a while. Binge on Netflix and food. Yes. All these things are connected. Amy and Melanie, giving birth and sustaining a new life is a powerful feeling. We're freaking rock stars.
I want to say really quickly too, watching TV, not watching TV is actually really helpful for so many different reasons. It will help with your body image because you're not staring at people who have plastic surgery up the wazoo and then you feel worse, right? So there's lots there. Our last question says,
do we have time for it?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
It's related and it's really short.
Okay. My marriage is at an all-time low. We've been married for 20 years and it has been a struggle all the time. Our communication is strained and simple issues turn into an all-out war. There's a lot of history there. We've been to counselors, but that always ended badly. There are so many problems. What do we do?
Okay, the thing, I have notes on this, so I wanted to say, and it is related to the other questions. So you talked about having a vision, do you see yourself, with other questions, do you see yourself at your ideal goal? What are you eating? What are you doing? What activities, right? So this is the things that came to mind for this particular question is, my marriage is at an all-time low. So what you need to do first is remember when it was good.
Right.
Look back at old photos. Dr. Claudia Groff-Grounds talks about this in season 1, where she's like, we need to relive the great experiences we've had with our partner as a way to really foster those, pair bonding, the pair bonding chemicals in us. If we don't do that, we lose that, sort of spark just goes away, right? So sit down with your partner. Yes, it's at an all-time low. Yes, that sucks and you feel terrible, but go look through your old photo albums. Look at vacations you've gone on. Look at your children's baby photos. Talk about all the funny things.
And also be aware, because I remember when we were going through the stuff, I would look back at old pictures and look back in regret, oh, that time was you know what I'm saying? So
no, I don't.
You have to be aware of that, because that can be a trigger. Oh, it's not as good as it was then.
Oh, I see what
you're saying. Oh, well,
yeah, no,
if you hadn't done this, it would have been different. So you got to have some awareness and conscientiousness around it. So you're going back, you're digging through stuff to find the good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
you're going to do it on purpose, like you would,
mm-hmm.
If a pipe broke in your front yard. Dig for dopamine and good things the way you would dig for the pipe that's spewing out water in your driveway.
Right.
Hashtag been there.
Right.
And so, but the second part of that, so the first part is go get that dopamine fix from the good parts of your marriage that you have already experienced and do it on purpose and do it together and make it your goal. The second part is have a vision for your marriage moving forward. Look out 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? How do you want to talk to each other? How do you want to behave? Where do you want to go? Do you want to travel? Do you want to... I need that, please. So things like that. You have to have a plan. And the thing that I think is interesting if you use this analogy. So like, let's say you want to build a house, right? I really want to build a house. But I don't plan. I don't have a house plan, and I just use like whatever wood I find. So I don't know. I found some like willow branches. I'll just tack those on there, and I found some old 2x4s with dirt on them. I'll just put those on there. What do you think your house is going to look like?
Right.
Dookieville, USA. It's not going to be a good house, and you're not going to be proud of it 10 years down the road. You'll be like, why didn't I just go to Home Depot and buy new wood and have a freaking plan?
Yeah. So have a plan and be intentional around that. If you haven't in the 20 years prior, this is a chance to do so. I would ask also, why did it go so bad in therapy? Sometimes finding the right counselor takes a minute. Like, it takes one counselor, it takes two counselors, and maybe even three counselors, and that sucks.
Maybe it takes these two counselors. I'm not a counselor.
I've been there. I've looked at counselors that way, and like literally gone once and be like, peace out. And I've had clients in private practice come once, it was kind of rocky. They're like, okay, we'll do it again, and then it was just awkward and not good at all. And that's okay. That's going to happen. So that's the thing. So one of our listeners says, me and my wife are making a vision statement for our marriage.
Guess what? Our app has a marriage vision board.
That is awesome.
Our app has everything, and you didn't even know that. Seth doesn't even do anything on the app. But that's okay. I still love you. Gosh. But
okay.
I think it's really important to have a vision for what you want for your relationship and what you want for yourself, and literally envision yourself speaking to your partner. Imagine it. How do we hold hands? Do we hold hands? Do we walk together? Where do we walk to? What do we do? Do we ride bikes? Maybe we get a canoe and we start doing paddleboarding together. Have a vision that injects you with excitement for it. But also start by going backwards to when you used to have excitement and dopamine, and like you did all these great things when you were, maybe it was when you were raising your kids or when you were in college, whatever. Like there is nothing, I don't know. I just think so many people are building.
Hold on. In solution-focused therapy, you look for the times when the problem wasn't a problem, right? So you want to go back or in narrative therapy, it's called sparkling moments.
That's really what
that's what it's called. When the thing wasn't a thing, okay, why wasn't a thing? Oh, well, we ate great.
What?
Oh, we'll try not to be cheesy. Jerk. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you think about when the problem wasn't a problem, right? Okay, example. Oh, that time I went fishing. Well, the barometric pressure was really good. It was sunny. It had rained the night before. And I would use the right bait because these flies or whatever, if you're fly fishing, were in season, right? You're not going to go back and expect that awesome time of fishing, in the middle of winter.
In a different season,
completely different conditions, right? So if it sucks now, go back to the times in your marriage where like, oh yeah, we got along great that night. I don't know, the sex was good that night. Okay, what happened 2, 3, 4, 5 days before that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I do want to say too, it's very important to understand that marriages have seasons just like life has seasons. But I'm not saying marriage has a good season and then a stupid idiot season. It's just that things change and you have to adapt to that change. So just in the same sense, I was thinking about this morning, which I think is a hilarious analogy, but like the same way that your children grow out of their baby clothes, you do not keep their 3-month-old clothes and then try to put them on your kids when they're 8. That would be stupid. You'd be like, why are you doing that? That's dumb. But we do that in our relationships. We go, oh, hey, this thing worked when we were both 22. Let's try that again. And it doesn't. Like you are, and you're not the same. That doesn't mean you're worse. It doesn't mean your kids' 8-year-old clothes are stupid, but their 3-month-old clothes were great.
Right.
It's a season. It's a different season, and things are different. But we often try to make to cram our 8-year-old into their 3-month clothes and be like, what's happening?
Right.
Like, it's a season that's different. Seth pointed at the clock.
Okay, let's see. Love the concept of having a vision for your marriage. Yes. Brother.
Seth's brother is in here. He's being mean. Knock it off, Sam.
Okay.
No, I wanted to say the thing first.
All right.
So,
wrap it up.
please share this podcast with your friends. This is something I will say. This show is helpful. You can ask a therapist and his awesome wife any question you want. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is out of bounds. So please share it with your friends if you have married friends who want some marriage help for free. What are you reading? Someone's writing something.
Okay. Thought we were going to end it, but we're not. Okay. How would you approach the situation of someone repeatedly contacting you after you have politely asked them to stop? For context, the woman who got too involved in our marriage and went after my husband. Our marriage is completely reconciled and actually just renewed our vows. Yay, that's awesome. She lives in a different state and he wants nothing to do with her. Do we just ignore her at this point? Yeah, if you said you're like, listen, that's it. Leave us alone. You could get a no contact order for
I say
harassment.
you take
You could do legal action, and if she lives in a different state, I mean, then maybe you have like some stalker stuff on Facebook or whatever, which is super creepy. I'm sorry you're going through that. That would completely suck.
I mean, I would say, is it by phone? Like, change your number. I know that sounds weird, but I would do pretty much everything I could. Not because I'm like, oh, I'm worried about our marriage. It's like, no. Those are boundaries you do not cross, right? That is not acceptable in any way. So I would do pretty much anything you could do.
Yeah, see what kind of legal recourse you have. It's been an email and stuff. She's blocked on everything possible. Yeah, I would we did change your names.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so it sounds like you're taking those steps. Whatever state she lives in, I would maybe call the state and see what kind of anti-harassment laws they have, and keep a record of everything for sure.
Oh, that's a
and
good point.
So all right, we gotta wrap this up. Good question. Remember to go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. I see the analytics on those people. A lot of people are going there, but you're not signing up. Get a free
Why aren't you signing up? Get an ebook.
A free ebook. Okay.
Audible's the best.
And then if you don't like it, just cancel it. Boom, done, over.
And please rate and review the podcast on iTunes. It's so helpful. Thank you to everyone who has rated and reviewed the show. We love it so much. It makes us feel awesome and it helps people find the show. But thank you. We'll read your review on the show as well. That's always really fun. So have an amazing day.
All right.
And
love you guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
She's cray-cray, so I've been hesitant. Yeah, you got to do it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, that's not cool. So, okay. You guys are awesome. See you tomorrow morning. Okay, bye.
Bye. Wait, someone wrote something?